Captain Seung-ho flew his diplomatic ship toward the massive alien fleet gathering at the edge of human space. Behind him, Earth's government had given him one last chance to prevent a galactic war. Ahead of him waited the combined military might of every major civilization in the galaxy. The fleet was enormous. Fourth-act battlecruisers hung in space like metal mountains. Zephyrian science vessels bristled with experimental weapons. Meridian Harmony ships moved in perfect formation. Smaller species had contributed what they could. Everyone was here. "Human vessel, you are entering restricted space," came the radio message from Fleet Admiral Vorth Thanes. "Turn back immediately." "I'm here to talk," Seung-ho replied. "Let's end this before it starts. There is nothing to discuss. Your species has become a threat to galactic security." Seung-ho looked at his tactical officer, Lieutenant Ji-won. She had been studying the alien fleet formations for hours. Her expression was grim. "Captain," she said quietly, "they've positioned their fleets to cover every possible approach to human space. This isn't just a show of force. They're really planning to attack every human world at once. Can we stop them?" Ji-won checked her displays again. The ancient memories that had been awakening in her mind gave her knowledge she shouldn't have. "Sir, I don't think we need to. Look at their approach vectors." She showed him the tactical display. The alien fleets were arranged in classic attack formations, following battle plans that any military academy would recognize. But something was wrong with their positioning. They're flying directly into the ancient defense grid, Ji-won realized. Every route they've chosen leads them through spaces where predecessor weapons platforms are hidden. "How do you know that?" "I just know. It's like looking at a map of my own neighborhood." Seung-ho opened a channel to the alien fleet. "Admiral Vorth Thanes, you need to change your approach routes. You're heading into dangerous space." "Human tricks will not work," the Vorthak commander replied. "We have scanned this area thoroughly. There are no defenses here. You can't scan predecessor technology with current sensors," Seung-ho warned. "Please change course before it's too late." But the alien fleet had already begun moving. Thousands of ships accelerated toward human space in perfect battle formation. It was an awesome sight that should have terrified any human observer. Instead, Ji-won felt only sadness. They have no idea what they're flying into. The first sign of trouble came when the Vorthak advanced scouts simply disappeared. One moment they were there on the tactical displays. The next moment they were gone. No explosions. No energy signatures. They just vanished. "Report." Admiral Vorth Thanes demanded over fleet communications. "What happened to Scout Wing Alpha?" "Unknown, Admiral," came the confused reply from the sensor operators. They were there, then they weren't. More ships began disappearing as the fleet moved deeper into what they thought was empty space. Entire squadrons vanished without a trace. The aliens' instruments showed nothing, but their ships were being plucked out of space one by one. On Earth, tactical analyst Wu Jin watched the battle through sensors that the aliens couldn't detect. Ancient monitoring stations were showing him everything that happened. "The defense grid is capturing them," he reported to the human leadership, "not destroying them. The predecessor systems are designed to neutralize threats without killing if possible." Admiral Sang-min of the human fleet looked at the displays with growing understanding. "Show me the grid." Wu Jin activated visual overlays that revealed the true nature of space around human territory. What looked empty to normal sensors was actually filled with defensive installations, weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, energy nets that could capture entire fleets, transport systems that could move ships to holding areas light years away. "It's beautiful," Admiral Sang-min said with wonder. "The whole region is one massive defensive system, and we never knew it was there." The alien fleet was now completely confused. Half their ships had vanished. The other half couldn't find any targets to shoot at. They were fighting an enemy they couldn't see using weapons they couldn't understand. "Fall back," Admiral Vorth Thanes finally ordered. "Retreat to safe distance." But it was too late. As the alien ships tried to withdraw, more defensive systems activated. Energy barriers appeared around the entire fleet. Tractor beams grabbed ships that tried to escape. Within hours, the entire invasion force was captured and helpless. Captain Seung-ho flew his diplomatic ship through the trapped alien fleet. Thousands of ships hung motionless in space, held by forces their crews couldn't fight or understand. "This is Captain Seung-ho to all ships," he broadcast on all frequencies. "You are not in danger. The defensive systems will not harm you. But you cannot leave until we resolve this situation. Release us immediately," Admiral Vorth Thanes demanded. This is an act of war. No, Xiong-Ho replied sadly. This is what happens when children try to kill their parents. The revelation came when historian Wu Jin shared his research with the trapped alien fleets. Using the ancient communication networks, he broadcast the true history of galactic civilization to every ship. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the evidence unfolded. Genetic analyses showing their species' artificial origins, archaeological proof of predecessor intervention in their evolution, star charts showing how their homeworlds had been terraformed by ancient humans. Lies, Admiral Vorthane said, but his voice lacked conviction. Your own genetic records will confirm it, Wu Jin replied. Every species in this fleet carries markers of human intervention. You are all our children. High scholar Zeph Miranda of the Zephyrian Collective was the first to accept the truth. Her species prized knowledge above all else, and the evidence was overwhelming. The genetic markers are genuine, she admitted to her fleet. We were created by the predecessors, by the humans. The psychological impact on the alien crews was devastating. Their entire understanding of themselves and their place in the galaxy collapsed in a matter of hours. They weren't ancient proud civilizations. They were children who had forgotten their parents. Captain Sung-Ho opened communication channels between the trapped fleets and human colonies. For the first time in millions of years, the created species spoke directly with their creators. The conversations were awkward and painful. Young engineer Ki Young talked to a Kentari trader whose ship he had accidentally trapped with planetary defenses. I'm sorry we scared you, Ki Young said. We didn't know the systems would activate. Why did you create us? The Kentari asked. What did you want from us? Ki Young thought about the ancient memories that were slowly awakening in human minds. I think they wanted you to be happy, to grow and learn and become who you were meant to be. Similar conversations happened across the trapped fleet. Humans spoke with Vorthak warriors about the concepts of honor and protection. They discussed science and discovery with Zephyrian scholars. They talked about peace and harmony with Meridian diplomats. Slowly, the aliens began to understand. They hadn't been created as slaves or servants. They had been raised as children, given unique gifts and allowed to develop their own cultures. The predecessors had stepped aside to let them grow up independently. But why did you come back? Asked Council Leader Mir Thanos of the Meridian Federation. Why now? Dr. Min Ho, whose recovered memories were the most complete, provided the answer. Because something is coming. Something that will threaten all of us. The predecessors saw it millions of years ago. They knew the galaxy would need its guardians again. He shared the final memories that had awakened in his mind. Images of dark shapes moving between galaxies. Signals from the void that spoke of vast intelligences with hostile intent. A threat that would arrive soon and challenge everything that lived in their galaxy. We didn't come back to rule you, Min Ho explained. We came back to protect you. All of us together. The captured alien fleets found themselves faced with a choice. They could continue to see humans as a threat and remain trapped by defenses they couldn't overcome. Or they could accept the truth and work together to face the real danger that was approaching. Admiral Vorth Thanes was the first military leader to make the decision. If you release my fleet, he said to Captain Sung-Ho, the Vorthak Empire will stand with humanity against this coming threat. High scholar Zeph Miranda agreed for the Zephyrian Collective. Our knowledge combined with your ancient technology could give us a chance. One by one, the species that had come to make war chose to make peace instead. The defensive grid began releasing the trapped ships, but instead of fleeing, most of them remained. They wanted to learn more about their true history and the threat they would all face together. As the alien fleets repositioned themselves from attack formations to cooperative groupings, Captain Xiong-Ho realized that the war everyone had feared would never happen. The children had found their parents, and they would need each other for the battle that was really coming. The galaxy had avoided destroying itself, but something much worse was already on its way. The news spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Despite Captain Taemin's attempts to keep the discovery secret, word leaked out from the research stations. Human colonies had found ancient ruins. The young species wasn't young at all. At first, the Galactic Council didn't believe it. Ambassador Vorth Kalar of the Vorthak Empire laughed when he heard the reports. Humans claiming to be ancient? They barely learned to make fire when my people were building star cities. High scholar Zeph Miranda of the Zephyrian Collective was more thoughtful but equally dismissive. The evidence must be contaminated. Humans have only existed for 50,000 years. Our records are clear. But then the accidents started happening. On the human mining world of New Daegu, young engineer Ki Young was trying to fix a broken power generator. The station was losing life support and people were going to die. In desperation, he placed his hands on a section of wall that looked different from the rest. The wall wasn't just wall. It was sleeping predecessor technology. The moment Ki Young touched it, the entire asteroid station came alive. Ancient power systems activated. Energy barriers appeared around the station. Defensive weapons that had slept for millions of years began tracking nearby ships. 3 Vorthak patrol vessels were caught in energy nets they couldn't understand. Their weapons couldn't break free. Their engines couldn't move them. They hung helpless in space while ancient technology held them like insects in a web. "What is this?" demanded Vorthak Captain Gorth Taller over the radio. "Release us immediately." Ki Young stared at the control panels that had appeared in the walls around him. Somehow he knew exactly what they did. The knowledge felt natural, like remembering his own name. I don't know how to turn it off," he said honestly. "I just touched the wall and everything started working." It took 6 hours for Ki Young to figure out how to release the Vorthak ships. But news of the incident reached every government in the galaxy within days. Humans could activate ancient technology that no one else could even recognize. Commander Hyunwoo of the Human Defense Fleet watched the reaction with growing worry. Alien ships began appearing at the edges of human space. Not attacking, but watching, waiting. "They're scared," reported his intelligence officer, Lieutenant Yuna. "Every major power is moving fleets toward our borders." "Of us?" Hyunwoo couldn't believe it. "We're still using their hand-me-down technology. Our newest ships are barely a match for their oldest ones." "That was before the ancient systems started waking up," Yuna said. "Now they're not sure what we're capable of." Diplomat Yoon Jung tried to calm the situation. She traveled to the Galactic Council headquarters on Zentara Prime. The council chamber was filled with worried representatives from dozens of species. "The human discovery changes nothing," she told them. "We're the same people we were before. We want peace and cooperation just like always." But the aliens weren't listening to her words. They were watching the data feeds from human space. Every day brought reports of new ancient installations coming online. Human colonies were gaining defensive systems that made the best galactic technology look primitive. "You say nothing has changed," spoke Council Leader Mayor Thanos of the Meridian Federation. His usually calm voice carried an edge of fear. "But your people are activating weapons platforms that predate our civilization." "We don't control those systems," Yoon Jung protested. "They're activating on their own." "That makes it worse," said High Scholar Zeph Miranda. "If humans can't control this technology, how do we know it won't turn on us?" The breaking point came during the Kentari incident. The Kentari were a small trade species that ran supply routes through human space. One of their cargo ships had engine trouble near the human world of New Incheon. The ship's captain, Kentari Jibbs, sent a distress call. The human orbital station responded immediately, sending repair ships to help. It should have been a routine rescue. But when the Kentari ship got close to New Incheon, the planet's ancient defenses woke up. Energy barriers surrounded the cargo vessel. Scanning beams analyzed every atom of the ship and its crew. Weapons platforms that had been invisible suddenly appeared in space around the planet. "Please don't shoot," Kentari Jibbs begged over the radio. "We're just traders. We need help." The humans on New Incheon were as surprised as anyone. They hadn't activated any defenses. The planet's defense grid had awakened on its own when it detected non-human ships approaching. Station Commander In-Soo worked frantically at control panels that appeared in the walls of his command center. "I'm trying to shut down the weapons," he told the Kentari captain. "But I don't understand how they work." The Kentari ship hung helpless for 3 hours while In-Soo learned to operate technology his ancestors had built. When he finally figured out how to power down the defenses, the damage was done. Word spread that human worlds had automatic defense systems that activated whenever aliens approached. Across the galaxy, fear turned into panic. If humans couldn't control their own ancient technology, what would happen when more of it woke up? What if the systems decided that non-humans were threats to be eliminated? Fleet Admiral Vorth Thanes of the Vorthak Empire called an emergency session of the military alliance. "The humans are awakening weapons they don't understand," he declared. "This threatens the security of every species in the galaxy. Their technology recognizes genetic patterns, reported Zephyrian scientist Zeph Corvus. It responds to human DNA in ways we cannot predict or counter. Every human colony is becoming a fortress. We have to act before they fully activate their inheritance, urged Meridian Defense Coordinator Mayor Vallis. Once those systems are fully online, it will be too late. The galactic powers began mobilizing their fleets, not for conquest but for what they saw as survival. The humans had gone from being useful junior partners to potential overlords of the galaxy in a matter of weeks. Commander Hyunwoo received intelligence reports of massive fleet movements. Every major power was preparing for war. They're planning to attack us, he told the human colonial government. All of them together. But we haven't threatened anyone, protested Colonial Administrator Su Jin. We're trying to help. It doesn't matter, Hyunwoo said grimly. They see us as an existential threat. They're not wrong. More ancient systems activated every day. The human world of New Gwangju found itself surrounded by invisible defensive satellites that no scanner could detect. The mining colony at New Ulsan discovered that their drilling equipment could now harvest resources at impossible speeds using ancient molecular assemblers. Each new activation increased galactic fear. The aliens realized that humans weren't just finding old technology. They were inheriting a military and industrial infrastructure that spanned the entire galaxy. Dr. Minho's recovered memories confirmed their worst fears. The predecessor civilization had built defensive networks that covered every star system. Weapons platforms disguised as asteroids, manufacturing centers hidden in planetary cores, transportation networks that could move entire fleets instantly across the galaxy. The whole galaxy is one big predecessor installation, Minho reported to the human leadership, and we're the activation keys. The final straw came when routine hyperspace traffic began experiencing problems. Ships following traditional trade routes found themselves redirected through paths they didn't recognize. Ancient navigation beacons were coming online, overriding galactic positioning systems. They're taking control of hyperspace itself, reported panicked ship captains from a dozen species. Human technology is rewriting the star maps. Within 3 months of the first discovery, the galaxy had divided into 2 camps. On one side stood humanity, confused and overwhelmed by their awakening inheritance. On the other side stood everyone else, united by fear of what humans might become. The irony was lost on most of the galaxy. The species that had been created and nurtured by ancient humans were now preparing to destroy their own parents. Children raised with love and care were about to turn on the family that had given them life. War fleets massed at the borders of human space. Weapons powered up. Battle plans were drawn. The galaxy prepared for a conflict that would determine whether humanity would reclaim their ancient throne or be destroyed by their own children. But in the depths of space, more ancient systems were stirring. And they had been designed with one purpose: to protect humanity at any cost. Dr. Minho couldn't sleep. For 3 nights, strange dreams filled his mind. He saw cities of crystal and metal floating in space. He watched humans with glowing eyes command vast fleets of ships. He felt memories that weren't his own. The dream started after he touched the ancient technology in the ruins. As the team's xenobiologist, Minho studied how different species lived and grew. But these dreams showed him things no human should remember. The dreams are getting stronger, he told Captain Taman during their morning briefing. I see star maps, battle plans, and construction blueprints. It's like someone else's memories are waking up in my head. Navigator So Young looked up from her charts. She had been studying human space routes since the discovery. Something strange is happening to me too, Captain. When I plot hyperspace jumps, I find myself choosing paths that aren't in any database. But somehow I know they're safe. What do you mean? Taman asked. The routes I'm picking follow patterns that match the ancient structures we found. It's like my brain knows roads through space that were built millions of years ago. Weapons specialist Jae Won joined the conversation. He had been analyzing the defensive systems in the ruins. My tactical training is telling me things about these weapons that I never learned. When I look at the ancient battle plans, I understand them perfectly. It's like I've fought these battles before. Minho sat down heavily in his chair.
What's happening to us?
The answer came when he analyzed his own blood after another night of intense dreams. The ancient technology wasn't just responding to human DNA, it was changing it. Dormant genetic sequences were activating. Parts of human DNA that scientists thought were useless were coming alive. We're not just humans, Minho realized. We're humans who are remembering what we used to be. He shared his findings with the team. The genetic changes were happening to all of them, but Minho was affected most strongly. His exposure to the ancient computers had triggered something deep in his DNA. "Show us what you remember," Taemin said. Minho closed his eyes and let the memories flow. Images filled his mind with perfect clarity. He saw the galaxy as it was millions of years ago. Young species learning to use fire while humans traveled between stars. Planets being terraformed in days. Whole solar systems being moved to better positions. "We were teachers," Minho said softly. "The humans of old didn't conquer the galaxy. They guided it. They helped other species grow and learn. They created gardens among the stars." So Young discovered that the hyperspace routes she instinctively knew formed a vast network. Ancient highways that connected every part of the galaxy. Roads that were hidden but still existed. The predecessors built a transportation system that spans the entire galaxy, she reported, and somehow I can navigate it without any training. Jaewon found that his understanding of combat wasn't about aggression. The ancient weapons were designed for protection and defense. Every system had safeguards to prevent unnecessary destruction. They weren't warriors, he realized. They were guardians. The weapons exist to protect, not to conquer. As days passed, more memories surfaced. Minho learned about the decision to leave. The ancient humans had seen something coming. A threat from beyond the galaxy that wouldn't arrive for millions of years. They chose to sleep and let their descendants grow naturally, preparing for a future battle. They knew we would need to be different when we returned. Minho explained to the team. Stronger but also more human. Connected to other species instead of ruling over them. The revelations continued when they found more ancient sites. So Young's navigation skills led them to hidden installations across human space. Every world that humans had colonized contained sleeping predecessor technology. On the industrial world of New Busan, engineer Kai Wu accidentally activated a massive manufacturing complex. Ancient machines began producing materials that current science couldn't identify, but somehow Kiwoo knew exactly how to operate them. "It's like riding a bicycle," he told them over subspace radio. "I've never seen these machines before, but my hands know where every control is." On the farming world of New Jeju, agricultural specialist Hee Jin discovered that human crop patterns matched ancient terraforming designs. Humans hadn't just been lucky in choosing good farmland. They had been unconsciously following plans laid down millions of years ago. "We're not colonizing random worlds," Hee Jin realized. "We're coming home to places our ancestors prepared for us." But the most shocking discovery came when Minho's memories revealed the truth about other galactic species. The proud Vorthak Empire with their warrior culture, the wise Zephyrian Collective with their advanced science, the peaceful Meridian Federation with their perfect harmony. "They're all artificial," Minho said with growing horror. "The ancient humans created them. Every major species in the galaxy was uplifted from primitive life by our ancestors." The implications hit the team like a physical blow. The galactic civilizations that treated humans as junior partners were actually humanity's children, species that had forgotten their creators and developed their own cultures over millions of years. "The Vorthak honor codes," Jaewon said slowly. "They're based on ancient human military traditions. The Zephyrian pursuit of knowledge comes from human scientific principles. The Meridian harmony reflects human social ideals. We didn't just rule the galaxy," Taemin realized. "We created it, and then we stepped aside to let our children grow up." So Young found star charts that showed the original homeworlds of every galactic species. They were all barren rocks before human intervention. The predecessors had taken primitive life forms and guided their evolution, giving each species unique gifts and purposes. They made the Vorthak strong to be protectors. They made the Zephyrians wise to be teachers. They made the Meridians peaceful to be healers, she said. Each species was designed to contribute something special to galactic civilization. Minho's memories showed him the great laboratories where this work was done. Ancient humans working with incredible care to ensure each species would be healthy and happy. They weren't creating slaves or servants. They were raising children. That's why the ancient humans left, Minho understood finally. They wanted their uplifted species to develop independently, to become truly alive instead of just following instructions. But now the children had grown up and forgotten their parents. And the parents were coming home to find a galaxy they no longer recognized. The team realized they faced an enormous responsibility. The technology awakening across human space wasn't just giving them power. It was reminding them of their role as the galaxy's guardians and teachers. What do we do with this knowledge? Taemin asked. Minho felt the weight of millions of years of history in his mind. We remember what it means to be human, and we decide whether we're ready to be parents again. The ancient memories were clear about one thing. The time of sleeping was ending. The threat the predecessors had seen was finally approaching. The galaxy would need its guardians again soon, but first humanity had to remember who they were, and decide if they were worthy of their inheritance. Captain Taemin stared at the empty space ahead of his ship. The new soul moved slowly through what everyone called the dead zone. No life had been found here for millions of years. The Galactic Council said this area was useless. They were wrong. Captain, I'm getting strange readings, said Nari from her science station. She was the best sensor operator in the human fleet. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls. There's something big under the surface of that planet. Taemin looked at the brown world on the main screen. It looked dead and boring. What kind of something? Metal, lots of it. And it's arranged in patterns. Nari's voice got excited. Sir, these aren't natural formations. Someone built these things. The captain called his team to the bridge. Dong-ho arrived first. The engineer was always curious about new technology. Eugene came next. The archaeologist loved finding old things. They gathered around Nari's station. Show us what you found, Taemin said. The screen filled with sensor data. Deep underground, massive structures spread across the planet like a buried city. The buildings were huge. Some were bigger than human space stations. How old are these? Eugene asked. She studied ancient civilizations for a living. Nari checked her readings twice. The metal degradation suggests millions of years. Maybe more. Everyone went quiet. The oldest known civilization in the galaxy was only 2 million years old. These structures were much older. We need to go down there, Taemin decided. Prepare the landing team. 2 hours later, they stood on the planet's surface. The air was thin but breathable. Red dust covered everything. Dong-ho set up the drilling equipment while Eugene marked the best excavation sites. The first hole went down 50 meters before hitting something hard. Dong-ho pulled up a sample. It was a crystal, but not like any crystal they knew. It glowed with soft blue light. It's still active, Dong-ho said with wonder. After all these years, it still has power. They dug more holes. Each one found more crystals, more glowing technology. Eugene carefully brushed dirt away from a larger piece. It looked like part of a control panel. The writing, she whispered. I can almost read it. Taemin looked closer. The symbols seemed familiar, but he couldn't say why. What language is it? I don't know. But it feels human somehow. They worked for days. The buried city was enormous. The technology was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Energy flowed through crystal networks that still worked perfectly. Computers made of living metal responded to touch. On the 5th day, Eugene made the discovery that changed everything. She was deep in what looked like a central building. The walls were covered with more writing and strange diagrams. Captain, she called over the radio, you need to see this. Taemin climbed down into the excavated chamber. Eugene pointed to a wall covered with symbols and pictures. But these weren't random decorations. They told a story. The pictures showed beings that looked human. They built ships and traveled between stars. They created great cities on many worlds. They ruled a vast empire that covered the galaxy. These people, Eugene said slowly, they look exactly like us. But the most shocking discovery came when Dong-ho analyzed the genetic material they found in the ruins. Every building contained small traces of DNA. It was old and damaged, but still readable. Captain, Dong-ho's voice shook. This DNA, it matches human genetic patterns. Taemin felt the world spin around him. That's impossible. Humans evolved on Earth. We've only been in space for a few hundred years. The evidence doesn't lie, Dong-ho said. Whoever built this city shared our DNA. They were human. Or we're like them. Nari found more proof in the ship's records. The planet's position matched perfectly with old Earth legends about a first home that was lost in the stars. The ancient human myth spoke of a great civilization that fell before Earth was born. Sir, Nari said quietly, what if humans didn't start on Earth? What if we came from somewhere else? The team gathered in the largest chamber they had found. It was a huge room with a crystal pillar in the center. When Eugene touched the pillar, it came alive with light. Images appeared in the air around them. The images showed the history of the ancient civilization. They saw humans building great cities among the stars. They watched them create amazing technology. They saw them spread across the galaxy like a great tide, but then something happened. The civilization didn't fall to war or disease. The people made a choice. They decided to leave. The images showed them preparing for a long sleep. They scattered small groups to distant worlds. They hid their technology and waited. They were waiting for something, Eugen realized. But what? The answer came in the final image. It showed genetic codes and star maps. The ancient humans had changed themselves. They created a younger version of their species. These new humans would grow up naturally on distant worlds. When they were ready, they would return to reclaim their inheritance. "We're not a young species," Taemin said with growing understanding. "We're the children of the galaxy's first civilization. We're coming home." Dongho discovered that the technology responded to human touch differently than it did to other species. When he placed his hand on a control surface, the entire complex came alive. Power flowed through systems that had waited millions of years. "It knows us," he said with wonder. "This technology recognizes human DNA." They spent weeks exploring the underground city. Every day brought new discoveries. Weapons that could destroy planets. Machines that could build new worlds. Technology that could extend human life for thousands of years. But the most important discovery was a message. It was hidden in the central computer, waiting for humans to find it. The message was simple but changed everything they thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. "Welcome home, our children. The galaxy has grown while you slept. Now it is time to wake up. Your inheritance awaits, but choose wisely how you use it. You are the ancient ones returning. The galaxy will fear you, but show them you remember what it means to be human." Taemin and his team realized they had found more than ruins. They had found proof that humans were not newcomers to the galaxy. They were the original rulers returning after a million-year sleep. The question now was what to do with this knowledge, and whether the galaxy was ready for humanity to remember who they really were. Admiral Sang-min stood before the holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Red dots marked the locations of awakening predecessor installations. There were thousands of them, maybe millions. Ancient weapons platforms that could shatter planets. Manufacturing centers that could build fleets in days. Technology that could reshape reality itself. All of it responding to human commands. All of it waiting for orders. "We could rule everything," he said to the assembled human leaders. "No one could stop us now." Philosopher Hyawan shook her head from across the conference table. "Having the power to rule doesn't mean we should. The predecessors chose to step aside for a reason. That was millions of years ago," Admiral Sang-min argued. "The galaxy is different now. The alien species have proven they can't be trusted. They were ready to exterminate us based on fear alone." The debate had been raging for weeks since the alien fleets were captured and released. Humanity faced the biggest choice in galactic history. They could use their ancient inheritance to establish human dominance, or they could follow the predecessor example of guidance and restraint. Dr. Chanwu entered the meeting carrying data tablets filled with new discoveries. "The technology keeps revealing new capabilities," he reported. "We found installation plans for devices that can extend any species' lifespan to thousands of years. Machines that can terraform entire star systems in months. Weapons that can move stars themselves. See?" Admiral Sang-min pointed to the data. "This is the inheritance of gods. We'd be fools not to use it, but for what?" asked Hyawan. "The predecessors had all this power and they chose to leave. What does that tell us about the corrupting nature of absolute authority?" The answer to their debate came from an unexpected source. Bora was a Kentari who had been raised by humans after her family died in a mining accident. She understood both perspectives better than anyone. "You're afraid," she said simply to Admiral Sang-min. "All of you are afraid." "We're being practical," the Admiral replied. "The galaxy tried to destroy us. We need to make sure it can't happen again." "No," Bora insisted. "You're afraid of becoming monsters. You know that this much power could change you into something horrible. That's why you're considering using it first before it corrupts you." Her words hit the human leaders like a physical blow. She was right. The debate wasn't really about strategy or security. It was about fear of what they might become. Dr. Minho, whose recovered memories were the most complete, spoke up. The predecessors faced the same choice. "I remember the debates they had. Some wanted to use their power to create a perfect galaxy. Others believe that perfection imposed from above isn't really perfect at all. What did they decide? Asked Hyawan. They chose to trust their children to find their own way, even knowing it might lead to conflict and suffering. Meanwhile, across human space, the ancient installations continued awakening. Engineer Sujin led a team studying a massive facility that had appeared beneath the city of New Seoul. The technology there could rebuild entire civilizations in weeks. Responds to our emotions, she reported to the Leadership Council. When we feel angry or threatened, the defensive systems become more aggressive. When we feel calm and protective, they focus on healing and construction. The implications were terrifying. If humanity chose the path of dominance and control, their emotions would program the ancient technology to support those goals. The galaxy could become a fortress prison with humans as absolute rulers. But if they chose compassion and cooperation, the technology would help them nurture and protect all galactic life. We're not just choosing what to do, Dr. Minho realized. We're choosing who to become. The alien species watched humanity's internal debate with growing anxiety. They had accepted the truth about their origins, but they didn't know what their creators would decide to do with them. Fourth Admiral Vorth Thane sent a message to the human leadership. Whatever you choose, my people will honor it. You created us. You have the right to command us. Similar messages came from other species. The Zephyrians offered their accumulated knowledge. The Meridians pledged their loyalty. Smaller species promised their service. They're giving us permission to be their masters, Admiral Sangmin said. They're making the choice easy. No, Hwan replied. They're showing us why the choice is hard. Real power means having people who will obey you even when you're wrong. The debate might have continued forever, but events forced a decision. Long-range sensors detected massive objects approaching from intergalactic space. The threat the predecessors had foreseen was finally arriving. Young scientist Jun Ho was the first to analyze the incoming signals. They're ships, he reported with growing alarm. Thousands of them, maybe millions, and they're bigger than anything in our galaxy. The hostile intent was clear from their approach pattern. The intergalactic fleet was moving directly toward the galaxy's most populated regions. They weren't explorers or refugees. They were invaders. How long until they arrive? Asked Admiral Sangmin. 6 months, Junho calculated. Maybe less if they can accelerate further. Suddenly, the debate about human power became irrelevant. The galaxy faced extinction, and only the awakening predecessor technology had any chance of stopping the invasion. We need to activate everything, Admiral Sangmin declared. Every weapon, every defense, every military installation the predecessors built. Wait, Haiwan said. The way we activate it matters. If we approach this as conquerors preparing for war, the technology will respond accordingly. It will become a tool for domination. Dr. Minho studied the incoming threat through ancient sensor networks. The invaders aren't like us. They're not carbon-based life. They're something else entirely. Something that sees all organic life as a contamination to be cleaned away. The revelation changed everything. This wasn't a war between civilizations. It was a battle between life and death itself. The predecessors knew, Minho continued. That's why they created the uplifted species. They needed genetic diversity, different approaches to thinking and problem solving. They knew that humans alone wouldn't be enough. Engineer Sujin made the crucial discovery while examining the ancient manufacturing systems. The technology isn't designed for one species to operate alone. It requires multiple genetic signatures working together. Human DNA to activate it, but alien DNA to guide it. You mean we can't use the full power without cooperation? Asked Admiral Sangmin. Exactly. The predecessors built safeguards into their own technology. They made it impossible for any single species to become absolute rulers. Bora smiled at the revelation. They knew their children might be tempted by power, so they made sure we'd have to work together. The choice facing humanity became clear. They could try to activate partial systems and fight the invasion with limited resources, or they could trust their created species completely and unlock the full potential of the predecessor inheritance. If we choose cooperation, Admiral Sangmin said slowly, we're giving up the chance to rule the galaxy ourselves. But we're gaining the chance to save it, Haiwan replied. The vote was close, but cooperation won. Admiral Sangmin cast the deciding ballot himself. The predecessors were wiser than I wanted to admit. We'll do this together or not at all. Within days, mixed human-alien teams were working at ancient installations across the galaxy. Fourth-Act warriors provided their understanding of conflict. Zephyrian scientists contributed their accumulated knowledge. Meridian coordinators ensured perfect communication between groups. The technology responded beyond anyone's expectations. Manufacturing centers began producing hybrid ships that combined human intuition with alien innovation. Defensive networks activated with strategies no single species could have developed alone. Most importantly, the galaxy united as it never had before. The crisis had forced them to choose between division and cooperation. They chose to stand together. As the intergalactic threat drew closer, humanity realized they had made the right choice. They weren't becoming the rulers of the galaxy. They were becoming its guardians, working alongside the children they had raised millions of years ago. The final test was coming. But for the first time in galactic history, every species would face it together as one people.